We always get asked why we need to grow so many tomatoes. And today I'm going to show you just a little bit of what we do with them. So this year was a lesser year in our tomato growth. We grew 410 pounds of tomatoes that we actually processed or brought into the house to make into something. And last year we actually grew 746 pounds of tomatoes that we brought into the house. I should also put in a little thing that we do have our long keeper tomatoes, which we haven't weighed yet, that we brought into the house, but they really weren't for canning purposes. We're hoping to use those for fresh eating throughout, but stay tuned for a video on that because we're kind of following that process as we try them out for the first time this year. Basically, that 410 pounds that we brought in this year was stuff that has been already processed into something. As promised, I put no tomatoes in the freezer this year. So what is made is what is made. The tomatoes are all gone now, and we have to make this work. Now, am I disappointed? Maybe a little bit, because I think we went a little bit short, or we fell a little bit short on what we actually needed. I didn't make things this year like ketchup, barbecue sauce, Thai sauce. I didn't even really can a whole lot of extra tomatoes. So that's something that in the previous year I had done, and I was really glad I had that buffer. So we'll see if what's left over from last year holds us through till 2023, so that 2023 maybe can be a bit more of a productive year on the tomato front. Ideally, I think we'd like to sit somewhere in the middle, around that 600 pounds. But it never works out perfect every year. Some years are great, some years aren't, so you kind of just have a ballpark and you make it work. But I'm going to talk you a little bit through just what we produced this year. So in total this year, we canned 148 liters of produce in varying sized containers. I just worked it all out to the liter to make it simple for this video. We did things like tomato juice, pizza sauce, marinara, charred salsa, fermented salsa, enchilada sauce, and lemony basil soup with rabbit meat. And I'm sure there's a few other things in here that I am missing. Did I say pizza sauce? I can't remember if I said that one, but pizza sauce was a big one that was important on our list for this year. Like I said, we really didn't do a whole lot of staples like the barbecue sauce and the ketchup and Thai sauce, things like that, because we did have quite a few from last year, so they were kind of less important to make sure we produced this year. We also cut back on the amount of pasta sauce we produced this year because we did not consume as much pasta last winter as we had in previous years. So we had a lot of pasta sauce left over. But that's a great thing to have, that sort of thing, where you have things left over, because this year we did not produce as many of those paste sauce tomatoes. We focused more on juiced tomatoes. As you can see, if Chris pans down here, we actually did 76 liters of tomato juice this year, which is amazing. We wanted to have at least one per week, and we've topped even higher on that. But the one thing that is nice with tomato juice is I can take this and I can use it in stews or soups or anything like that as I go throughout the year. When we're cleaning out the freezer, we're using up that lamb meat, things like that. Anything you need a broth for, you can use a tomato juice, or you can use it in place of canned tomatoes or diced tomatoes, that sort of thing. That's what we do, because I don't do diced tomatoes because it drives me nuts having to dip and skin and chop and whatever. I love, as everybody knows, my food mill, where everything goes through my food mill. It's super easy, super simple. So that's why we have a lot of tomato juice. But in order to produce 12 liters of tomato juice, you need to have 54 pounds of tomatoes just to make 12 liters of tomato juice. So now, saying that, that's not watered down or anything like that. So you could water it down if you don't like a really, really thick tomato juice. But like I said, because we use a lot of this for soups and stews, we keep it straight around here. But that kind of was our main one. The other one was our charred salsa, which I will link the video above, and our fermented salsa. I think those three items, I guess. The salsas, the two salsas, and the tomato juice were our main ones that used a lot of tomatoes this year. And then it was kind of followed by marinara and a little bit of this and that. But all in all, I just wanted to do kind of a short video sharing just a little bit of where 400 pounds of tomatoes disappears to.
So kind of in closing, as I scan around what we have on the table here. If you live in a more temperate environment, northern or southern hemisphere, where you do have to store food for the winter months, if you're trying to be somewhat food independent or food savvy or just produce your own food in a bit more of a sustainable fashion, it's really easy to see why you need to grow so many tomatoes, because they can be extended far, far beyond fresh eating to basically give you healthy food right through the winter months.